Here, I just finished at Fog of Dusk, where they actually just remodeled the store. Yeah, but actually took apart the first of Cons of Tarkir pre-release. This is my first one. I'm actually going to do the one tomorrow at Comic Town, but I wanted to go over my deck and some of the stuff that you got with the box. I actually picked Abzan, which is my 3 favorite colors in Magic, which are white, black, and green. Yeah. So with Abzan, they have the ability for Outlast. Outlast is the ability where you can basically put counters on your creatures, and with other creatures with +1/+1 counters, some creatures give you a boost to all your dudes, some don't. I'll actually go over my deck in a minute. When you get your box, you get this pin that you can wear or put on something, and then you also get a little card that tells you about the Abzan houses, and or whatever clan you actually end up picking. And then on the back, it also, since it's not necessarily 2 colors or anything like the previous pre-releases, it gives you a little tip card that shows you, tells you a little bit about how to build a deck, Abzan deck or whatever clan that you have. So basically, it just gives you a little bit of an idea how to build it. You don't really have to follow it, but it just kind of helps for beginners who may not have played with a set with like 3 colors like this. So yeah, and then you have your checklist card, which I didn't actually fill out because apparently we don't actually have the thing that you're supposed to do, because you're supposed to fill this out and then you get a sticker and then you put the sticker on the flag or something like that. And then on the back, on the front, this is the planner with the little promo for F&M. So. And then inside the box, you basically get your 5 regular boosters, and then your seeded pack based on your clan. You have a die, which I'll show you a little later, and then your pen, and you open your pack to build your deck. So I will go over my deck now because I'm actually really surprised how well my deck was, and I actually had a really good time playing with these cards. Right now I just finished round 6, and with round 6, let's see about doing this. I don't think that's gonna work. I'll just do it like this here. We just finished round 6. It was I think about 30-something people. I don't really remember. I think it was about 30-something people this morning. I'm at Fog of Dusk for the morning pre-release that started at 10, and then I think they have one later that starts at 6. But a lot of people dropped really early, so a lot of people didn't actually go in around 6. But yeah, I went 4 and 2 with my deck, so I'm just kind of waiting for results. I might get something, might not. I don't know. But I'm gonna go over each card, and I'll tell you a little about the mechanics that are not Outlast, and if I run into a card with those abilities. So the first card I have, which is a Blood-Soaked Champion. Blood-Soaked Champion can't block, but it has a raid ability. And its raid ability is when you pay 1 and a black, you can return it to the battlefield from the graveyard. You can only activate the ability if you attack with the creature. So that's the raid ability, which I think is Mardu's clan ability. So if you attack with a creature, something happens. So it's a pretty good card. It's a rare. It's actually really good on turn 1. Turn 1, Blood-Soaked Champion. Turn 2, something else. Turn 3, something else. And you can build up your army, so it's pretty good. And then that's the only 1 drop. And then my 2 drop is a Anak Bondkin. It has the Outlast ability, which I told you about. His Outlast ability, you pay 1 and a white, you tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then each creature with a +1/+1 counter has first strike. So I actually had 2 of these. And then I also had a Fear of Resistance that somehow got in here in my creatures. But beauty with Fear of Resistance is that you put a +1/+1 counter, and you get the creature gets protection of a color. So that's pretty good with some of the other cards I got. So I'll put this over here. Then other 2 drops, I got the Air of the Wilds. Hair of the Wilds. It's a ferocious creature. Ferocious is the Tamir ability. Whenever if you have a creature power 4 or greater on the battlefield, something happens. So this creature, if it attacks, if I control a creature plus creature 4 or greater, 4 power or greater, it gets +1/+1/2 on the turn. So I think that's pretty cool. It also has Death Touch, which actually is pretty good too. There's a few games where I attacked with them on a board where it's like defenders, and I could get through. So a lot of defenders, a lot of stronger. So yeah. And then next card I have is a Highland Game. When it dies, you gain 2 life. So this is a good chump blocker. Kind of, gains you a little bit of life. Not really attacking with this creature a lot, but it's still a pretty good turn. 50 cents. And then my 3 drops, I have a Watcher of the Roost. It has a morph cost, revealing a white card. Morph is a returning ability. Basically, you can play the creature as a 2/2 for 3. So the beauty with morph is that you can play it as just a regular 2/2 creature. I think I have a morph token somewhere. Let me take a look. I think I have a morph token. Take a look, show you what the morph token looks like. There we go. Yep. So this is the morph token. So basically, morph is just a 2/2 creature, and then when you reveal the card, you pay whatever the cost is to morph it, and then it turns into this creature. So this ability with morph, you reveal a white card from your hand, and then you flip it up. From what the judge told me, you can either morph it and then pay the cost, or pay the cost and morph. I didn't really know how that works, so I asked. But when it's face up, so when it unmorphs or transforms into the creature, I can't use transform because that's another ability. You gain 2 life. So I had 2 of these as well. It's a really good card. From the matches I played, there weren't really a lot of strong flyers. If you reveal a card, you can actually gain some life and start swinging from the air. So it's pretty good. And then my 3 other drops, I have a Mardu Horde Chief, which also has the raid ability. If you attack with a creature, when it enters the battlefield, you get a white warrior token in the battlefield. And then I have a Keiru Bloodsucker. It's a vampire, but I don't know what kind of vampire has a tongue like that, because that is a tongue lashing there. Whenever a creature you control with toughness 4 or greater dies, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And this also ability is that you can pay 2 in black and sacrifice another creature. You put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, for example, if your bigger creature with 4 or greater power is about to die, you can sack it in response. You gain 2 life, your opponent loses 2 life, and you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So I was trying to do a combo with this card because obviously it's really good with Outlast, because as you outlast your creatures, they become stronger and then they eventually get 4 power or greater. What I was trying to do is I had a combo with the Bloodsoaked Champion, which I end up attacking with it before blockers are declared, sacking it to this ability, and then since I attacked with it, I can actually bring it back on the battlefield on the same turn to do it again next turn. So you can build it up, and then eventually you either chump block or you find a way to kill it, and then you can kill it. The trigger still happens, and yeah, you lose 4 life. One game I had that combo going, my opponent was at 1. And I was trying to find a creature to start building it up and get more power to sack it so he can die, but that didn't happen. I ended up losing that game. Oh well. But this is a really good card. It's good it's good. Even though it's a Tamir clan, it's still good in a deck like this, especially with Outlast. If it goes slow enough, you can just start sacking your higher power creatures to kill your opponent. So. Then my other 2 drops in green, I have a Tuskguard Captain. It has an Outlast ability, which is just 1 forest, 1 green. You can put a +1/+1 counter, and each creature with a +1/+1 counter has trample on it. So in a EDH deck with a card such as Gavani Township, yeah, your creatures get trampled just by having this guy on there, because they all get +1/+1 counters. And then I also have a long shot guard. A long shot guard is the same outlast. Outlast, you pay 1 green, and then each creature you with a +1/+1 counter has reach. I actually pulled 2 of these in my pull, but I'm playing 1. I didn't really run across a lot of flyers. One match I did lose was against 2 flyers, but I didn't actually run into a lot of them. So that's why I only play 1, and he's a pretty good creature as well. And with the other creatures with Outlast, their triggers, interact with each other. Their bonuses, such as the reach, trample, first strike. So, as you get more counters on creatures, you get those benefits. So you have a little bit of a really strong army. And then I have Unyielding Krumar. This is getting into the black card. I ran black. They're black. The colors, I didn't really run a lot of black cards in here, but I'm kind of like, I guess you could say I'm kind of splashing black. But this guy, you pay 1 and a white, and it gets first strike until end of turn, which is pretty good. I didn't really play with this card quite a bit, but it's still strong. And then the ability becomes irrelevant if you do have if you end up putting a +1/+1 counter on it with the Bonkin, because it gets the first strike ability without the paying for it. So there you go. You also have a Salt Road Patrol. It's just a vanilla 2/5 with the Outlast ability. Nothing special about this card, but it does clog up the board quite a bit, and it can come quite a beater later on. And then I have 1 6-drop. This is the Abzan Guide. It has Lifelink and Morph. Its Morph ability, it's just a vanilla Morph creature, so it doesn't have any triggers, but it has Lifelink. And with the +1/+1 counters you're getting and you're playing on the creature, it can build up, and you can actually get. It actually is pretty strong. So. With each seeded pack, how is different with this particular set is that for each seeded pack, you get a promo card, a foil promo, and there's 8 foil promos for each clan, so that's a total of 40. But there wasn't like a list or anything that says what each pack is, since there's 8. It's really kind of hard to tell. So my promo was Hardened Scales, which is a card I'm really looking forward to play in Standard. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters will be placed on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are placed on it instead. So basically, for example, I have the long shot squad out, right? And I outlast it. So instead of getting 1 counter, you get 1 + 1. So you get 1 counter, and then you get another counter for Hardened Scale, so you get 2 total. And then basically it's just any counters you get, you add an additional counter. So it's kind of worded weird. It took me a while to kind of understand it, but that's basically what it says. If somehow you get a +1/+1 counter, or if 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on it, you get an additional +1/+1 counter. So pretty cool. I play with this card quite a bit. On turn 1, it's pretty unbeatable. If you get any type of creatures with Outlast or any way to get counters on it, you pretty much have a really good head start. So it's really strong, really good card. I'm glad this was my pack. My seeded rare, because this card is really good, and I also have a lot of ways to put counters on creatures, so it's really good. It's so good. And then I have Defiant Strike, which is an instant speed, instant. A target creature gets +1/+0. Then you draw a card. So I had 2 of these, and these are really good cards. The +1/+0 bonus helps if you're trading, and then you get to draw a card off of it, which is pretty good as well. So then I have Abzan Charm, which I think was in my seeded pack as well. Which each clan you get a charm, and each charm has 3 things you can choose from to do. So you can exile a creature with power 3 or greater. You can draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Or you can put 2 +1/+1 counter, or distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 creatures you control. So I actually used the first and third ability quite a bit. I didn't actually have a chance to use the second ability, but I'm sure it's just as good. But yeah, the first and the third abilities are really strong. With hardened scales, you get double the counters. So how this works with hardened scales is that let's say if you put it 2 counters on one creature, you get 3 total. But if you distribute the 2 counters against 2 creatures, each creature gets 2 counters total. So just to let you know with that. But it's still a pretty strong card. It's probably one of the better charms, and this card saved me so many games. I wish I would have been able to use the second ability a few times just to see how that works, but still a good card. And then I have a kill shot. Kill shot destroys a target attacking creature. Pretty straightforward. Saved me a couple times as well. Abzan banner is another. Basically, the banners are kind of like the clue stones from Dragon's Maze. Instead of tapping it for one of 2 colors, these tap for one of the 3 colors for each clan, and then you have to pay 3 and sacrifice it to draw a card, which is still pretty good. I think these are more useful in this set, I guess, in sealed than it would be in like Dragon's Maze. When you get the clue stones in Dragon's Maze, in my opinion, but it's really good. So Dragon Scale Boon. Dragon Scale Boon, you put 2 +1/+1 counters on a target creature and you untap it. With Hardened Scales, you get an additional counter, so it gets 3 +1/+1 counters and you untap the creature. It's pretty good. I kind of wish that it gives you the option to put more than. It gives you the option to put another counter on another creature, spread them out a little bit, but you know. And then I also have an other end, which is my removal. Exile target non-land permanent, so you can exile planeswalkers, enchantments, artifacts, creatures. I ended up using it against other creatures most of the time, but you know, the exiling is pretty good in its instant speed, so it's a really good card. Throttle, basically it's a functional Lash of the Whip from Theros. It's the same card basically, it's just a different name. Target creature gets -4/-4 total. Then my lands, in my seeded pack I had a Sand Step Citadel, which the land comes on the battlefield tap, but it does tap for green, white, or black, which is really good. Then I have a Jungle Hollow. There's a set of lands for each dual color. They come in the battlefield tapping, you gain a life, so I actually have the Jungle Hollow, which is black-green, Scored Barrens, which is white-black, and Blossoming Sands, which is green-white. So I actually have the set of the whole colors for my clan, which also helps with fixing and gaining a little life, so that's awesome. I ran 3 swamps, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 forests, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I ran 5 plains, which is 16 lands plus the banner, which in this deck, since I had a lot of 1-2 drops, a lot early game, it wasn't really that bad. One thing that did happen while I was playing with this deck is that I actually drew a lot of lands. I was running only 16 lands, but there were times where I had the clue stone out. I kept drawing. There were several turns where turn 6 on, I drew lands, which kind of sucked, which also kind of stalled the game too, but some games I was able to win, come back, some games I weren't. You know, just kind of the deal, I guess, but this deck is really awesome. I really, really love this deck. I'm glad that I had the fixing I needed, some removal, some pump, really good creatures. I didn't really pull anything that's really, really bomby, but I mean, I didn't really need to. 4-2, still a good record. Just waiting for the last few matches to end in round 6, and then we'll get results. I may get something. I don't know if so. I'll put in the comments what I won. But then I'm going to the one at Comic Town tomorrow. The one in the afternoon. I think that starts at 4:30. So I'm not sure if I'm still going to play Asban or not. But if I do play Asban, it'll probably be a deck hopefully better, if similar to this, if not better. I don't know if I'm going to play another clan just to test it out. Maybe, I'm not sure, but Tamir is really good too. A lot of people were playing Tamir.
Sorry to interrupt, but sorry if I came out as a dick. It just pisses me off when all I do is draw land. I don't want you to think that.
No, that's okay. I'm just recording a video.
Yeah, I understand.
Thank you. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I don't know what clan I'm gonna pick tomorrow. I might just do Abzan again. I had a lot of fun doing Outlast and what have you, and Tamir seems really, really strong.
No, I mean, did we just play?
But I don't know. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Some of my matches, I didn't really keep track of which clans my opponents were, but it was still pretty good. My 2 losses came from like being mana flooded, which kind of sucked. But other than that, this deck is really, really good. So we're on turns now, so hopefully we'll figure out if I win anything. If not, there's always tomorrow. So. All right, well, you guys have a good magical day. Hope everyone's doing well on their pre-releases. Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. What clans you picked, decks, anything mythic, any really good rares or anything you open. So, 20-minute long video. Sorry about that. But pre-release cons. Can't wait to draft the set next week. Deuces.